I'm going to say this up front, or I'm about to piss off a lot of people with this next take. It's not insulting, it's just an observation. Yeah, I know you've heard that. It's like saying I have so many friends of a certain color and I'm not this, but I'm not. So I'm going to say this. So there's an all out war on history right now, especially history of people of color. They removed Jackie Robinson's page off the DOD website. DOD is erasing any kind of mention of like Tuskegee Airmen or the WAS. Anything that's not white Christian male is being removed. There are reports that black Marines are being told to leave or may be mustered out because of a skin condition that they've already treated or already had problem for, but they're using an excuse to remove people of color out of the military. And now the segregation thing, the segregation removal by federal contractors by the Trump administration. And basically it's saying, yeah, okay, if you want to segregate people, black, white, that's fine. Colors only bathroom, that's cool. I mean, and this is just another return of Jim Crow laws in my mind, because I'm 63 and I grew up through the civil rights era. The back end of it, my mom was an activist. I remember at her knee helping out in Los Angeles with NAACP and fairs, and her talking to our neighbor who was a big activist in Los Angeles. So I grew up on the knee of this. I'd listened to it. I understood it. I knew what was at stake. But right now, when these things come out, and the other thing that's coming around right now is the lack of due process for everything. Trump putting out the aliens, Enemy Aliens Act. Now he's saying you don't have due process on it. We can walk into your house and take you if we think you're an illegal alien. Anyone that's been picked up recently by ICE has had no due process and have been shipped out. Hell, they're even messing with Europeans. I think that's a tease to see what France and England is going to do, and Germany. But the one thing I'm going to say, and I don't say this as a slight, but I just want to put it in a historical perspective for someone who lived through the time. Okay, when everything went down in the civil rights, Rosa Parks, the civil rights movement, the Montgomery bus boycott, the March to Selma, John Pettis Bridge, all those people who got involved in that, who were fighting, and Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, all those people, I'm going to use the word snick wrong, who sat at lunch counters, who fought segregation on the ground. Many lost their lives, like Medgar Evers, and the three workers who were freedom bus riders. But around them, and I remember this, you have to remember one thing, and I'll say this, with the Kennedy Papers being released, and I'm a little bouncing there, but I'm going to tie it all up. John F. Kennedy was not big on civil rights. He wanted everything to calm down. He was one of those. Lyndon Johnson was. And that's a big difference from a man from Texas. He was hardcore civil rights, and he's the one that pushed it through. I don't think the Civil Rights Movement or the Voting Rights Act would have gone through under the Kennedy administration. Kennedy was too much of a... You look it up. He was not that... He wasn't. And he couldn't stand up to J. Edgar Hoover, who was not big on civil rights, considered that a communist plot. But Johnson stepped on him because Johnson was bigger than life. So, which brings me back to that. There were a lot of people during that time who were telling blacks, don't march, don't go out there. It'll be okay. Don't put yourself in the line of fire. You know what's going to happen. You'll get hurt. You'll get arrested. You may die. But they still did because they had to make a point and stand up for civil rights and for voting. Same thing if you look at what happened in India with Gandhi. Those folk knew what was going to happen when he took on the British government, and many paid the price. What I'm hearing from a lot of black creators right now is that this is just bait, and so we don't go out and protest. And then he declares martial laws and they put us in jail. You can do what you want. I'm not going to say anything about it. I mean, I have issues being a Latino right now, I'm Puerto Rican, born in Los Angeles. I run across the wrong ICE agent, that's going to be a bitch of a ride for me. And they're proving it right now. I'm a citizen, but if I get out there and someone gets a little pissy or needs to make a fucking quota, I'm on the radar. But what I'm going to say is that those creators are saying that. We're not going to take the bait. We don't want to bring in martial law and they come after us. Anyway, that's your problem. You Latinos and you whites out there who are protesting, that's your problem. It doesn't come to us. We're just going to sit it out because we don't want to get in any trouble. A lot of black folks and some white folks said that during the civil rights time. Encouraged them not to protest. Encourage them not to go out. Encourage them not to take the abuse, the arrest, the murder. God rest Medgar Evers. But they thought they were fighting for something bigger. And they were. And it set the standard. And right now, we have an administration that's really working backwards to erase it all. They ain't going to erase history, but they're trying to replace everything. Go back to states' rights to do whatever they want, if it's good for them, and that includes open segregation. I'm not saying you protest. Don't. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you want to be bitter about it because what happened in the election, hey, that's your choice. But I will tell you this. Being silent and doing nothing eventually will come home to roost. Because trust me, they've already gotten rid of due process for all of us. And once they get done with us, or people who speak out, I'm just saying, if you stand the way dictators win, when good people stand by and do nothing, at least speak out. You don't have to go to the streets. I'm not saying that. But understand, every time I open my mouth, I'm putting myself at risk. I can feel it. But I'd rather go out like this than living in fear.